train wreck edition of me going live. I think I'm getting better every time. I'm changing the angle this morning so that I can kind of see which one is the best way to do it. I'm not sure who's coming in this morning. It was supposed to snow, and as you can see, it didn't snow. I knew it wasn't going to snow, but the forecast last night said it's going to snow pretty bad. And actually, it was snowing while they were doing the forecast last night in Salt Lake. So I thought we would get hit too. We're just south of Salt Lake. And we're right by the mountains. So the mountains are always getting hit all around us, but the valley doesn't. It's really interesting. But yeah, so last night around 11 o'clock, people were calling me saying they're going to come to the shop, so they had to have somebody come unlock the gate so they can load up the plows or get the plows on the truck, because the forecast all week was showing no snow. Normally, we don't listen to the forecast. We just go day by day, because sometimes the forecast says it's going to snow. Everybody gets all excited and then nothing happens. So for some reason, all the plows were off. I think it's because they were working on the trucks, or they're driving around, and just be easier to drive around without the plows. So anyway, this morning I'm going to try something new. I've put a phone number together so that my phone will ring. We can still take the, you know what, while I'm talking here, I should have gotten my desktop ready for this. Oh man, come on. All right, let's see here. Sometimes I forget how to get logged in so I could see the questions. John, you already on? What's up, man? Hey, so I've got my numbers. That's why I want to do a live, because I've got my numbers. All right? Just give me a minute. Today I'm doing something different. I'm putting a phone number. That number that's on my title is a number that I programmed so that my phone will ring. And we're going to try to do I'll take some calls, see how that goes. That might be interesting. All right. Sometimes I forget how this works. But anyway, yesterday was pretty interesting. We hired 2 people. It was actually a father and daughter. So that'll be interesting. Normally, I don't really like hiring family members, because usually it's siblings, like 2 brothers or more, or brother and a sister. And sometimes one can get offended and the other one will get pissed off too. So I try to avoid hiring family that are that close. But I've hired a father and son in the past, and they were out in the field working, and they worked fantastic. But this time I've hired a father and a daughter, and they're both going to be working in the office. So that's kind of different and interesting. So I hired the father to be the sprinkler dispatcher, communicating to the customers for sprinklers and the techs, and making sure the parts are going to be in their trucks, and ordering the parts. And what else? I don't know. I thought it'd be a good fit. Daisha showed up. I didn't think anybody's coming in today because it did snow, and it probably snowed in her area. So I'm going to ask her. so the daughter will be working in the office, and the father will be working in the office as well. So the daughter is just she's in college now in botany, so she's like a plant lover. And so anyway, what's up? So, oh, it was? So it didn't snow bad where you're at?
What?
It didn't snow where you live,
It did.
but not bad enough to.
Just a sprinkle, like.
Yeah, I know.
here.
All right, cool. Well, I'm doing another live. I'll try and be quiet.
Cool. Yeah, go for it. Just leave it up to you.
If you need anything, just let me know. So because she had like schooling for plants and stuff, and she's doing that now, and that's what she wants to do, I just felt like a no-brainer to bring her in, and I think the dad would be a good fit for the sprinklers. So not a tech, but to call customers and that kind of thing. So anyway, before I get into my numbers here, why don't you type in what you think service did the most money? Now, I didn't break it down like line by line, so I didn't break down how much we did in aeration. I just did how much those divisions, the crews did. So here's how I broke it down. Mowing, all the mowing together, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks, first time mows, bagging, anything with mowing. And then I did the spring wake up package. Although, so spring wake up package, power rake and aeration. And also, okay. I also included peat moss and overseeding in that category. In the category is spring wake up package. I did leaf cleanup, and then gardens. I lumped them all into one because it was just too hard to try and split the cleanups and the maintenance. So I just lumped them all together. So again, I've got mowing, spring wake up, leaves, garden cleanup, and sprinklers. So 5 categories. Actually, I forgot to write down the sprinklers, but I know what that is because I had a whole meeting on that the other day. All right, so out of those 5 categories, and leaf cleanup shouldn't even have been on there. I think that was early on. I was separating that one, but so I'll just give you a hint. It's not leaf cleanup. That is not where we made the most money. So let me know what you think. Which one did the most? And I'll give you a shout out. Again, also I have this phone number that I put on this title here that you can call if you have any questions, or you can type them still. But we'll try that out, see how it goes, and I will take calls. So I had it programmed to go to the office line, but then I thought the phone would be ringing and that would just get annoying. So I programmed it to my cell phone, and I've got it on silence. So we'll see. What's up, John? Hey, John, what do you think? Which one do you think did the most revenue? In fact, I may want to ask Daisha too. Hey, Daisha, which service do you think did the most? Like division did the most?
Last season?
Yeah.
Ooh. Like aside from mowing?
Well, out of all the categories, mowing, spring wake up, garden clean, gardens, the whole gardens, all combined, and sprinklers.
That's hard. Because sprinklers had a really crazy season, but we also had a really crazy, like a big amount of spring wake ups. And then gardens was crazy too.
And so was mowing.
So
They were all crazy. So
I'm gonna say mowing.
mowing. All right. She says mowing. Let's see. Um, not mowing. We did. How come it didn't show up here? Oh, here it is. John says not mowing. We did 409,000 in mowing, and it was our largest category. Interesting. That's really good, John, with ABC. That's really good. What was your total revenue? Kind of curious on that. That's really high. All right, so let's see. 926. That's real good, man. I think that's in line. That seems perfectly right. So let's see here. All right, it's to not make this super long video today. Actually, I can see how long these videos are while they're live. I didn't know that. I couldn't see that yesterday. Okay, so here it is. Drum roll. Let's start with the. Oh, there's one that I didn't combine. I didn't add up here. So let me just add that real fast. That's interesting. All right, so here goes. The least category, and I don't know why I even mentioned this category, was leaf cleanup. We only did $26,000. I guess I mentioned that because during the end of the mow season, that's something that we do. And technically, I probably should have combined that with the mowing because the mow guys do that, but I wanted to separate that because that is a service that even the gardeners do. Everybody does that except the sprinkler guys, of course. All right, so second, so let's see. Okay, so one, two, three, four, five. That was fifth place. Fourth place, spring wake up packages. And this is interesting because we only do this service pretty much in March and April. And we did $90,000 in spring wake ups. That's power raking, aerating, first time mow, of the season. And we did soil conditioning last year, but we're not including that this year because we're the company that we sold our fertilizing customers to. Even though in our contract I'm allowed to do soil conditioner, that was one of my deal breakers. I said I have to be able to do that because we are the home of the spring wake up package, and I had to make sure that we were able to do that. So we've included that in the contract. The problem was they were really getting beat up because a lot of their customers weren't wanting them to do their first treatment of the year because we did the soil conditioner. And even though I'm allowed to do that, I still want to work with them because they have been referring a lot of work our way. And so we decided that we're going to take that out so that we give that other company a good opportunity to have a good season at the start. So again, spring wake up package, $90,000. All right, let me read this comment. We did 157 in lawn treatments. Nice. It's what I want more of. Yes, lawn treatments are definitely the way to go. It's the reason why there's so many companies that only do that because the profit margins are so much bigger on that. Yeah, last year the last year we were doing fertilizing, our sprinkler tech was averaging over $200 an hour. So that was more than the sprinkler techs. So, I mean, if that gives you any idea how profitable that is. So again, spring wake up packages, fourth place, $90,000, almost 91,000. All right, so let's go third place. Sprinklers. Now so we did 175,000 in sprinklers. That we actually did more the year before, but last year we were revamping that whole division. We made a lot of mistakes because we were trying to fix all the problems that that division has. I don't know if you guys ever tried doing sprinklers. If you did, you probably know the headache it can cause with not fixing all the issues that the customers have, even though they only told you about the one. The techs may do more work than was authorized. Collecting payments sometimes is a pain for that because the customers they weren't home when you fixed it, and the list goes on and on. So we had to fix all those problems, and so basically we only had one truck going out. Even though we started the season with 4 sprinkler techs, because of our process and the way that we wanted to do things, we ended up with 2 by the end of the season, and they are amazing. The 2 sprinkler techs we have are amazing, and they basically rode together that whole season last year. So the way I look at it, the 174,000 that we did in sprinklers was basically from one truck. Now, I did spend a ton of money because of the 2 techs on that one truck, and they're good. That's one of the higher wage positions that we have here. Is the highest. So it was pretty expensive, but I wanted to make sure that we worked on a system together between those 2 experienced techs and me in the office, really working on this division. And we really nailed it down to where we weren't getting any phone calls for complaints. Payments were smooth. Everything was smooth, and so now we're ready to launch that kind of operation next year or this season. So ABC, how much of the sprinkler work was supplies? None. That 175 is no supplies in that. Parts are another report that I have not even looked at. So that's only the labor. So both in service autopilot. So my techs were really good about adding every part, and so those aren't included neither. When I talk about the garden revenues, sorry, somebody might have called me. When I talk about the garden revenue, no plants are included in that either. There is some mulch, but that's the only material that's included in the garden revenue that I'll tell you here in a second. I got a snow customer asking for something, so let me see here. Kelly O'Reilly. Hey Siri, let me call Jose real fast. So I have a customer saying their driveway and sidewalk needs clearing, and my guys said they did a drive-by to every house this morning. Hey, Kelly, on your list,
yeah,
is asking if you're coming today, so it must need it.
All right, I'll go and head over.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, bro.
Thanks. See ya. All right. So yeah, let's go irrigation, guys. All right. So that was 3rd place. 2nd place is, so it's either between mowing and the gardens. So 4th place, gardens. Gardens did $525,000. So really good. This is the first year that mowing beat gardens. Believe it or not, gardens was always like double the revenue of what mowing was. And this year mowing came in first, which is, it feels so good to know that, because I put so much money, like we all put so much money into mowing that for it to not be the number one service is kind of like crazy to think about it, because it's the only division where every worker is working with, you know, $1,000 or more with equipment every single job they do. And so it's pretty crazy that, and I just found this out last night. I finished looking up these numbers this morning before the live. So yeah, 525,000 for gardens. That's with the maintenance weekly. So I do have some numbers here. Weekly garden maintenance. All right, if you're not doing weekly garden maintenance, you're missing out. You're leaving money on the table for sure. So we have weekly service every 2 weeks and once a month. And I have numbers for all three of those. Which one do you think did the most? I'll go back to that one in a second. So mowing, that's first time mows every week, every 2 weeks. And this random mowing, whenever needed, you know, one-time cuts, all that. $601,000. That's awesome. I wonder what that breaks down to average, divided by the 32 weeks we had. So that's like $19,000 a week. There was a point where we were doing $20,000 a week, and that was 2 weeks after I made a video saying we were doing $16,000. So I was really excited for those numbers. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about mowing here in a second, but let me jump back to the gardens. Let's see. Oh, shoot. I didn't put the snow list together, even though the guys went and checked. So I've got to get that up and running right now. So give me a second. Oh, it is. It is up and running. Oh, no, it's not. So those of you that use Service Autopilot, you know what a pain it is for snow, don't you? Click a like if that's a pain for you, because it is for me. And we're going to say it's 8:30. And then the 21st. And then I've got to change the date to the 21st. It's thinking. Again, on the title, I have the phone number that I routed to my phone, so you can call that if you have any questions, or you can type. So let's see here. So I've got to move a customer. I'm going to actually move a few to my guy. Oh, he's not going to be happy when I give him all these. All right, assign to Jose. Hey Siri, call Jose.
Calling Jose Galindo.
All right, let me just tell him that I've got his list on here. By the way, let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see him? Will you sync your phone now?
Yeah, I'm listening to right now.
All right, sorry about that.
No,
I also,
if anybody calls about like the one that to get it, just let me know and I'll do it.
yeah. Well, I also just why don't you do a drive-by while you're driving to that house
Yeah.
and check everybody else. I put them on your list in that area.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.
All right. My question is, who is your favorite fertilizer referral area? Gotta be. I'm not sure what the question is. Taylor. So let's see here. You must be charging more for mowing than we are. We ended with roughly 450 lawns. Wow. Yeah, yeah, we ended with a little bit more than that, and significantly higher. Oh yeah, so let me talk about something we did this year, and I think anybody that mows needs to do this. We did this because we were getting so many phone calls, and everybody, even when we did, so when we decided to raise our prices, in earlier that when we realized what we need to ref, raise our prices to, we raised it for new customers, but we left our existing customers until this spring. But we were getting so many calls, and we needed a way to kind of like keep the jobs slowing down, because you know how hard it is to do. You already got a full route, and then you got to do a bunch of first time mows. That can really throw a wrench in there, right? So what we did was we started charging, like when somebody called while we were measuring their property to give them a price, we would tell them it's same price for everybody for the first time mow. It's $75 per man per hour for that first visit. Should I still continue on measuring your property and give you a quote for weekly or every 2 weeks? Yes. So we did that pretty early on in the season because we were just so busy that, and that $75 covered our man hour rate, especially when our guys were on overtime. So we would schedule them all on Friday, and it worked so good. And pretty much sometimes we had one crew for sure that would do them every single week, but then if we had a lot, sometimes we had like 12 first time mows, we'd have two crews doing it, and then sometimes even three, because we would also schedule aerations and power raking on Fridays and Saturdays too. So you should definitely charge hourly for that first visit. Now, you say $75 per man per hour on that first visit, you're going to get some pushback. Some customers are going to be like, "Whoa, that's way more than I thought." And sometimes customers will say, "That's fine," and then when you give them a $200 bill, they're not fine anymore. So we started telling customers up front that it's $75 per man per hour, and the average on a first time mow is between $200 and $350. You got to tell them that. And that way, and then even if sometimes after you say that, they'll say, "No, my lawn is small and it's short. I cut it 2 weeks ago. There's no way it will take that long." And then at least they have an idea. And sometimes, but they'll still ask you for a price, like a lower price. So you say $75 per man per hour. The average on these first time mows are between $200 to $350. And they say, "No, it's really small. It'll take your guys 20 minutes. So will you just charge me, $75? Don't say yes. Say, "I understand, but we don't have a set price for the first visit. Our guys are fast. They're not going to milk the time, and they're going to go as fast as possible. We haven't had any complaints." That's what you tell people. And it usually works out good. I mean, we definitely had a couple of customers this year that wanted to hear the recording on the phone call, which we're going to be able to do this year because we're using a new CRM. And it'll have the option of doing that. We just have to remember to push that button before we take the call. So it'll be a work in progress, but I'm not worried about that. That only happened a couple of times where they said it was $75 per hour. They didn't say it was per man per hour. So you got to be clear on that as well. But that way works really well, especially if like during your busy season, when you still want to take, you still want to take calls, but you're at pretty much your limit. So that worked really well. So Taylor says, "Who's your favorite company to refer fertilizer to?" Green Grounds. We refer a lot of work to them because they refer a lot of work to us. I think you should definitely find another company in your area. So maybe call around. If you call mow companies and say, if you get garden people that call that need cleanups, refer them my way, and I'll refer whatever service they do for you. That way works really well. And with Green Grounds, we have a really good system. So we use Typeform. When somebody calls us and they want fertilizing, we will fill out the Typeform, send it, and it goes directly to Green Grounds, and they do the same thing for us. I saw your video, used Greene County Fertilizer. I love Greene County Fertilizer. Which products of theirs do you recommend? I was looking into their products. So, RGS. So I'm really big on soil conditioner. I feel like soil conditioner should be in every single application. It's good for the grass to have that soil kind of conditioned over time. I know a lot of people only do it like one time a year. When I fertilized, I did it every single application. So I would have Greene County mix RGS with Green Effect, which is, I believe, 0007. And I went heavy on those products. I think between the two, I would put 7 gallons per 100 in my tank. There was a time I was doing like 10 gallons per 100. I think I did 12 one time, and I made the grass black. The grass was so green it was black, and the customers actually complained. Now, I also talked to a few people that say when they put RGS into their tank, it makes the grass like brown. And yes, it does. You know RGS is like really dark. It's a dark mix, and if you don't water it in, it could look like there's brown on the grass. All it is the RGS sticking on the leaf, and it needs to be watered in. So I did get that complaint from customers, and as I go around and I talk to people, they noticed that was a complaint of theirs too, but you got to water it in. So if you are fertilizing with Greene County, well, I guess if you fertilize any fertilizer, you may want to send an email right after you do it telling the customers to water it in. It's always best, unless you have weeds, right? If you've got a lot of heavy weeds, you don't want to water it in. So I guess you just kind of have to plan your routes. So when we did a service, if you fertilize, hey John, I don't know if you do this, but we did a heavy weed treatment, and we only did those on Fridays, and those started with the smallest yard at like $199. And we did, so you do 2 treatments, one for sure, the one for sure, and if in 2 weeks, if they still have weeds, they can call in and get a free second application. That happened a couple of times, but for the most part, that first application does it. I would use Speed Zone on that first application, or T-Zone, whichever one I had available, and I would try and mix them every cycle. So like when I ran out of Speed Zone, the 2.5 gallons or 5 gallons, I would start using T-Zone. And sometimes they call back because they still have weeds, and I would have ran out of the first product that I used, like Speed Zone, 2 weeks later, then I would use T-Zone. And though that service is awesome. So that was one of the services. My phone is dying. That was one of the services that we have a video for that we put out there, and when we pump that one, the phone rings like crazy. So that was a great service. The only problem is we only could do that on Fridays because we only had one truck, one tank. And so we had to use that tank mix before we did the program mixes. But that was a really good one. So let's see, Caleb, hi, as an owner, how long did it take you to see true profits? Thanks, man. So because I'm hard-headed and I didn't listen to anybody for a long time, and not until I started going to Service Autopilot Conference, I really didn't see true profits until probably, I want to say 2017. So about 7 years from starting my business. I made enough to pay my bills and pay myself kind of thing, but never like at the end of the season would I really see any money in the bank like for profits like I do now. So it started in 2017, um, and that's when it started, and it got even better in 2018 when my buddy Taylor came to my shop, forced me to do profit first, and when he did that, it was profits ever since. So, and I still have friends I talk to, and they don't do profit first. They're out of their minds. But I tell them they need to do that. Um, all right, guys. So, any questions with my numbers before I go here? Because my phone's about to die. Let's see. I'll wait like 5 more minutes. Again, I'm trying out this number. If somebody wants to call, even just to say hi, let's do it. I just want to see if you can hear it. By the way, when I called Jose, could you hear him? Because that's kind of what's happening with this. And I want to know if you can hear it or not. But so while I'm talking about numbers real fast here, so let's remember this video because mowing's in first place at 600,000. Gardens is second at 525. Sprinklers is in third. But I believe a year from now, you're going to see that sprinklers is the highest in revenue. And it's currently in third place now. But I feel like we have a good infrastructure for it. And my goal is to bring it up to first place. I do have a goal of 1 million, but I need 5 techs working 60 hours a week, bringing in $1,200 to $1,500 a day. That's the only way we'll get to 1 million. Now we do have new software that we're going to be running with this year for sprinklers, and it will arm the techs with the ability to upsell like crazy without having to call the office. So, and it's not cheap. I'm going to be using Service Titan for sprinklers this year. We're on the onboarding process now. We're getting training every week. It's a big software. So hopefully that will help us get to sprinklers in first place. So we'll see. Could hear Jose, but he was quiet. Okay, so next time I may bring the phone up so we can hear callers. Now I'm gonna pause this number. So after the live, if you get to this video late, it's not gonna work. I don't know how to do that yet, but I am sure there's a way. This will only be for when I'm doing lives. I'll try and use the same number. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that though. But all right, Freddie, were you ever a solo operator? Also, did you work for a company before starting your business? No. Interesting little story, probably, maybe. I started going to college pretty late, and the guy that mowed my neighborhood, I thought that would be a good job to do if I was going back to school. And he hired me, but he said my first day started on Sunday. And I said, well, can I start next Sunday, not this Sunday? Because I have a church calling where I was supposed to I was in the nursery watching kids, and I needed time to get somebody to sub out for me. And it was like Friday, so I thought, I'll ask him if I could just start the following Sunday, not the day after tomorrow, you know? And he was so upset because I said that. Like, he was so mad that I didn't just drop what I was doing to come work for him on a Sunday. so that because he did that, you know, a lot of other things happened, but so I didn't start working for a company in lawn care before I started my company. But that would have been a company I probably would have worked for. And it's kind of funny because over the years, he's seen me grow as he's still mowing neighbors on my street. And it's just pretty interesting, you know what I mean? And we got to the point where we had so many trucks, and he was still mowing with his wife, I think, at the time. They're still in a truck together. And I think last year he retired. When I tried to get a job for him, that was like 11 years ago. And now he's retired, and he never had more than one truck. So I don't know, pretty interesting there. Yeah, when I first started, I mowed every lawn myself until we got to 90. Well, I always had a helper. Very early days when, you know, I was sitting home watching soap operas waiting for the phone to ring. I'd get a call to do a mow job, and I would go right then by myself. I had a bunch of door hangers out there, so people would call me randomly, and I would just do it whenever they called. Um, and so anyway, that's kind of how I started until I had 90 lawns, and then at 90, I had to split the crew up because we weren't able to get all the jobs done, and that's when I realized there are people that are way better than me. Even though I've worked with them, when we were mowing the 90 lawns together, I had me and two others. There was 3-man crew back then. Even though I worked side by side with them, I didn't know how good they were. You know, I just did all the main things. I would trim the areas that I knew that were biggest concern for the customers, and I never gave them like the responsibility until I split the crew because I had to. And once I did that, they were getting done faster than me. And then when I went to go check on their work, I realized it was really good. And then I was kind of beating myself up, thinking, you know, how did I not know that? And then it also got to the point where a friend of mine was mowing lawns, and he was hiring people and letting them go like their first day by themselves. And that was mind blowing to me. So I tried it, and again, they did great. And from there, it just kind of took off. But yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, what are you charging for irrigation service hourly? That's almost all we do, but that daily goal seems pretty high. Okay, so let me explain a couple of things. First off, we don't do hourly for sprinklers. Pretty much every service, we have a set price, right? So if somebody calls and says they have a broken pipe, we say, is it a main line or a zone station line? And they'll say, you know, they don't know, they'll figure it out. We'll tell them how to figure it out. Does it still leak? Is it still spraying when the timer's off? Yes. Okay, it's a main line pipe. That is, let's see what I got a price sheet. It's $279 for us to fix. And valves are $361. That includes the parts. But it's our policy to change all the valves in a box if we fix a valve. So they have to approve us to do all of the valves, because you know how it is. You'll fix one, and then 3 weeks later, another one's broke, or the other two are broke. So in order to bypass all that headache, we tell them it's our policy to replace them all. And we'll get some pushback sometimes, and we say, well, you can call another company, and they may do the one, that's fine. But if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do all of them. Make that whole box new. So those are the things we do, because it's gonna be a bigger headache for the customer if they pay $300, $360, and then 3 weeks later, the same area is broken, not the same sprinkler, but you know, just just make their life easier by fixing the whole thing. And they're approving you to do it. So it's not like you're sneaking it in there, you know. Um, so so all the office people. So one of our policies last year. Let's see. I don't like manifold systems, but sound solid. Yeah. So um, remember how I told you we were revamping well, earlier in this video, I was telling you how we were revamping the sprinkler division last year. And one of those things was doing phone quotes because I was having issues with sprinkler managers. You know, I was trying to hire a sprinkler manager to kind of be as awesome as the garden managers, and it just doesn't translate the same way. There's things that you can't see underground. So we started quoting over the phone, and it's been great. What's up, Jinja? And so it got to the point where I'm training the office staff, everybody in the office, to answer the phone for sprinklers and to give quotes. And as we're training, they're getting it, and it's something that we're just going to build on from there. And it streamlined our whole thing. There are times where we have to send a tech out to look at it to give a quote, but those are pretty rare. And I've only had like one customer upset at me that I gave her a price over the phone without looking at the issue, but she sent me pictures and I was able to see satellite images of the backyard, so I had all the information I needed. That was the only one that really gave me a hard time, and I said, you know, because I know what needs to be done, if you still want me to send a tech out to go give you a quote in person, we have to charge you for that. So those are some of the things we do, but sometimes, let me go back to Shawkid. No, yeah, Shawkid 24. There are times where the customer will explain things over the phone, and you know, it may not be something that's a set price, so we have to calculate in our minds how long it's going to take our tech to do. In that case, we typically calculate in our head $120 an hour, you know, $100 to $120 an hour. And we kind of visualize, you know, what the tech is going to be doing, and then we'll tell them a quote that way. Now, the quote that we give them over the phone is just a ballpark quote. It's most likely it's going to be that price. It's never going to be cheaper, so they have to authorize that much, but it could be more because when the tech gets there, he may see something that wasn't explained properly on the phone or quoted wrong. So anyway, guys, I think that's it for today. My phone's about to die. I'm surprised it lasted this long. We're going on 48 minutes. So thanks to everybody for being on here, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, another one in the book.